Hey everybody, welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. So we have our illustrious hosts here, Ryan, Ted,
Dave.
Alright, so let's talk about our little trip to Looney Labs Tabletop Day event, the second annual. Hopefully everybody had a great Tabletop Day. So let's get started on that.
Alright, so what game you want to talk about first?
Well, I played at least half a dozen different games that day. Some of which I've played previously, and some of which I've never experienced. And then there was the ultra top secret games that almost got us kicked out of Looney Lounge.
There's no quotation in March. You're putting that in quotation marks.
We're not almost kicked out.
Within 5 minutes, we were
We almost got booted.
Yeah, all right.
Here's the deal. As a game company, Looney Labs, like everyone else, is always in the process of developing new games. And the Looney Lounge, as it was called, was designed to allow people to come play test their games. Now, Maryland for us is about a 3.5 hour drive. So we packed it up and headed on down, and we asked, hey, can we take a picture of this? And they weren't really putting two and two together that, well, we were going to, post the pictures, and within a few moments of...
Actually, let me interrupt a little bit. We just blanket said, can we take pictures of this, right? And the only response we really got from one of the Looney Lab employees was, just if you're going to take a picture of people, ask their permission. And so that kind of, in our minds, gave us carte blanche to take pictures as long as it didn't involve the folks there. So we did.
Yeah.
So what winds up happening is, we take pictures, and, as to try and get you guys information and to share our experiences, we went and posted it, and very quickly, Kristen's like, all right, who did this? So we had put up pictures about some of the stuff that they don't have the licensing for, so we can't talk about them, and we can't tell you what they are just yet.
And we can't tell you which little kids 80s show it might be from. Or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, so basically, if you were following our Twitter feed or Instagram for 5 minutes, you had a window of where you could have possibly seen something that
you weren't
supposed to. Now you won't be seeing anymore.
Yeah. So we quickly, we took it down off of Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else, and complied with the
damage control.
Nice happy people. So it kind of got in the middle of.
We did everything but pull out the MIB flashy lighty thingy.
Right. Oh, and since you're watching,
sadly we don't have neuralizers.
So I don't know. We want to start things off with talking about maybe Lunacy first game.
Sure. I'm the biggest fan and proponent of the Looney Labs games, and I had seen Lunacy, and it's basically described as a matching game. And having played lots of games, you see, a large selection of my gaming supplies. And
he's lying. That's only like a quarter of his selection of gaming supplies.
Yeah, it's true. As I said, some of, and I wasn't like, okay. I was like, all right, I'll play it. And it's a fast-paced game. That it's not a turn-based situation. You got the stack of cards in front of you, and
I would use the word free for all.
Yeah, right.
Free for all, if you will. And you've got to just match the things that are there. And for people who are quick thinkers and you can match the connections, it's just, you got one hand to throw down your cards and one hand to hold them. And it was a lot more fun than I really thought about. So it's like, all right, this is moving high up on my list of things to go get.
Yeah, the cool thing about it is it's not your standard turn-based game. So I think it's really going to draw in sort of, younger kids who don't have the attention span to sit and wait around for their turn to play a particular game. So it captures sort of a younger audience in that way. And then, too, just people that are way more casual about gaming. If you don't like complicated rules, it's a great game to sit down and play. It is. It's like basically like the memory game on speed. You're just constantly throwing down cards by, matching. You have two symbols on a card. One of those symbols has to match, and then whoever else has that next matching symbol can throw something down.
So like you could have a cookie on one side and the friends on the other, and depending upon how that card is in your hand, number one, it's got two large pictures, but then it has two tiny pictures,
like a thumbnail,
a thumbnail showing you what is on that card, and you can turn the card in your hand to show the actual order of that card. So it actually allows you to organize the cards in your hand in a pattern, so that it's like, all right, these guys will chain in this particular direction, so you can just sit there and hold them and go boom, 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 and just slam the cards down, one at a time.
Although if somebody interrupts you, like I interrupted Ted, but yeah,
we all interrupted each other as the game denotes.
And there's a couple things I'd like to point out. One is all the images, I believe, come from the actual Flux games.
Yes.
So if you're familiar with Looney Labs and Flux, this game is a memory game based on all the Flux games up until this point, I believe, or whatever.
Yeah, there's a variety of images from the Flux keepers that they have as the actual images on the card.
And point two, before we move away from Lunacy, is our resident Nerdarchy Ryan here pointed out how to turn it into a drinking game for our above 21 crowd.
What did I come up with?
Oh, well, there's a mechanic in the game when no one has a match, right? You have to point at the deck. And when everyone points at the deck, then you each get a card, and you can't look at it until someone says 1, 2, 3, look. And you flip it. If someone then has a card to put on the pile, then you can play the card. But as a drinking game, right, you could with either shots or beer or whatever, when everyone points, they could have to take a drink before they draw their card.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty clever like that. Go me! I've forgotten about that. All right.
So basic mechanic: you get 7 cards in your hand, and the game is designed for like 2 to 5 players, and there are a number of piles equal to 6 minus the number of players. So if you've got 5 players, there's only 1 pile for you to look at. But when you're sitting there with 3 players, there's 3 piles. So you're trying to match up, with that situation, you're at 6 different symbols as options for you to drop a card on. So it really, makes the chaos. I actually liked it with 4 players because you got 2 piles to look at, but it totally, Dave got flustered.
Yeah, it was no good. My brain wanted to melt. So what else did we play?
Do we want to move on to Seven Dragons, which you
Sure.
handily have a little demo copy there?
Seven Dragons is another style of matching game, but in this particular game, you're trying to make a sequence of cards in a domino-esque format, and there are 5 different dragon colors. You've got your silver, green, blue, black, and red. Sorry, no, it's green, blue, gold, black, and red. The silver is the special starting card. And, my dude here happens to be a demo copy because I demo games for Looney. I have access to their super secret game technician area. I can get stuff ahead of time and whatnot as I demo games for them. But this one is more of a turn-based situation. But like your Flux, you only get 3 cards in your hand. Your goal is kept secret, but of course has the ability to change throughout. And the whole idea is to sequence 7 dragons together that are your goal. I've played it many times. It's pretty fun. It's not as chaotic and crazy as some of their other games, but with the fact that you can be real close to matching your goal or meeting your goal, and someone says, "Oh, I'm gonna trade goals with you," because they figured out what you're going to do. So there's absolutely a strategy involved that you want to, even if you've got the ability to play a card of your color, you want to try and throw people off and try and be like, all right, well, now my goal is gold, but if I throw a black down over here, someone might think that, oh, well, he's now working on the black. Which one is he actually working on? But it's a fine line to walk because you don't want to help out someone who actually is working on black. So
yeah, you basically have to feel out the other players, see how well they're likely to call your bluff, or something like that. Try to figure out what they're building toward. So it's a good game like that.
And it's pretty fast paced. You can go through fairly fast from the games that we've played, and not only that, if you check out our Instagram, you can actually probably Facebook as well and Twitter. You can see all these games that we played from game day, from Tabletop Game Day. So if you want the visual, they're out there.
Right.
Yeah. So, Dave, I didn't get to sit in on this game, but I noticed you were playing a game that I've heard of before. I've never played it. Are You a Traitor? Similar mechanic to Are You the Werewolf? So if you want to go talk about that.
So Are You a Traitor? Are You the Traitor? It's kind of a fun game. It's not really my style of game, to be honest with you, but I played a couple hands of it to check it out. And it's actually a really good game if you have more people to play it. It seems like once you drill down with less players, it gets a little more complicated with the rules. But, basically, it's every hand, teams form up, the good guys and the bad guys. You have two people that are bad guys, and everybody else is the good guy. So everybody has a specific role. There's like a story to the game. You have two wizards. One's good and one's evil. But the evil wizard is masquerading as the good wizard, and they have a goal. And both of them want to get the key to the super secret kill you Necronomicon type book that could destroy the universe. So obviously, if evil gets it, it's not good for the universe. If good gets it, we get to save the day. So the problem is, though, our wizards look the same and they're after the same thing, so no one knows who to give it to. But there's a catch. There's a traitor amongst the good guys who nobody knows who he is. So it's it's a game of kind of bluffing and deception and teamwork, except for you don't really know who's on your team. You're trying to figure all these things out. Well, every time either good or evil wins the hand. What happens is the side that won, they get a treasure. Whatever player achieves 10 points from the treasure wins first. And, the funny thing is, you could be good one hand, evil the next hand, and it just flops back and forth, and it's just random. It's a good game because you can play with a lot of people. It's good for a party. I think Werewolf's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, it's basically both those games I'd probably describe as like a nerd party game. If you have lots of gamers at a party, I know Werewolf can accommodate up to like 52 people or something like that. So I don't know. Are you the?
Oh my god! I wouldn't even want to imagine that many.
Well, there's a moderator in both games, so you would get pretty hoarse, I think, and maybe you have to take care of your parched throat with a nice frosty beer many times over. So that could get interesting by the end of the night.
Are You the Traitor? I think it goes up to 10, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I know. Are You a Werewolf? The core is 8, and they can. There's like expansion decks and that kind of stuff that can support up to around 20 or so, and then you can of course blow that up with more werewolves and more townsfolk, and it really makes things crazy. I personally have never had a chance to play either of those games, but it's with my game days and the stuff that I've been to, it's a lot more common for, okay, you 4 go play this, and you 4 go play that, and these people are going to play this. It's a lot harder to get 8 people to sit down in a quiet room to be able to play this kind of game, because there is a lot of, subtlety and nuances.
Actually, I would say, like, Werewolf functions better in a non-quiet room, because, like, basically there's certain actions, like, the moderator gets certain things called out to them, like, say the werewolves are going to kill someone. They have to come to a consensus, and they point at someone while everyone else is heads down because the town's like asleep. So basically, ambient noise is great in a way because it masks any movement someone might hear and throw people off of each other's trails. So then you have a little more, someone doesn't figure out who the werewolf is simply by a shifting of fabric or whatever.
Well, I'd like to sidebar a little bit here because, we did a tabletop day, and we went to Looney Labs, and that was great, and that was a lot of fun. But Ted actually used to host a monthly game day at his house.
Make it tabletop day once a month, every single month. It would be a good way to go. Yeah.
Until the Rugrats came along and put a cramp in his style.
Their kids ruin everything. That's a little note for you, for public service announcement there.
Yeah. But you got to bring up the next generation of gamers. It's. If,
we'll be dead. Fuck them. Oh, never mind. I have kids. I was just speaking for Ryan. I figured I would say it before he did.
Right. I don't know if I would have phrased it exactly that way, but anyway. So we can move on to some Flux. Talk about some Flux there.
Right. I mean, I'm a long-term Flux player. I actually have 16 different Flux decks. I've got a couple of the basic decks of
I'm just gonna say this, right? If you like a something, there's a Flux deck for it, just about.
If not, it's in the works.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Basically, and they actually have Flux in a variety of different languages as well. The one that we played at the game day was Cthulhu Flux. So one of their new ones. Again, mine says demo copy for the same reasons as the last one. And this one's tagline says the card game that will drive you insane. It's Flux is the ever changing card game. It starts off with draw one, play one. So in the very beginning of the game, there is absolutely no way to win, and it's a game that goes really quickly. I have actually played a 4 or 5 player game that somebody won first turn because the right situation wound up happening, and the person who went 5th never had a chance to play. That is absurdly rare, but your games are going to last at most usually 15 minutes, so it's got a high turnaround. And
I played Flux games that last 30, 40 minutes easily too. Just because with the goals constantly changing, like everyone's building towards whatever goals at the table, or maybe they're getting ready to change the goal and building towards that. But you have these interrupts happen, and like we were playing Flux Zombies, and it was a game that never ended because I think somebody ultimately ended up winning off of the goal was zombie baseball, where you had like 9 different types of zombies.
You need to have nine zombies in the baseball bat.
Right, there you go. Yeah,
it's a fun one.
Yeah, but anyway, that was a game of about 4 or 5 people, I think, and it was going toward the goal, getting ready to win. Somebody changed the goal, and so on, and so on, and so on.
The fun thing about Flux, it can be frustrating, but amusing if you like the lighthearted games, is that the game can actually force you to play a card that makes somebody else win, because the game can have cards where the number of plays in each turn and draws each turn can change. So it could be all right, you're drawing 5 cards and you have to play every single one of them. And when that happens, you get to choose the order of what cards you put down. But basically, unless you've got something really sweet that's going to stop you from playing a card, you could draw a card like, all right, I've got this card in my hand, and Ryan's got the requirements in front of him, and I'm forced to play it. So I put it down, like, all right, Ryan, you win.
I don't know if you guys agree. My take is the Flux games are actually designed to go fast. Yeah. Although it can go the other way and may not happen, but in general, the design behind them is a fast-paced game.
Yes.
Where you can play a bunch of the game, in a short period of time.
Yeah, and that's kind of the feel that I think that they're looking for. It's lighthearted, it's fun, and it's quick.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you don't want to sit down for an Arkham Horror that takes 4 hours. Sometimes you do want to just get 2 to 3 hands of your favorite Flux in at a given time.
Or play a variety games in a short period of time instead of one game all day.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, some Arkham Horror, hey, it's an awesome game. But it's kind of the same thing as if you're sitting down to play, a role-playing game or an RPG. You allot your time to play that game.
You specifically say, all right, this Saturday we're playing Arkham Horror. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, to those that you don't know, Arkham Horror is an awesome Cthulhu Mythos-based board game. There's Arkham Horror, and what's the other one?
House on the Hill?
No.
House on the Hill?
No. Oh no, we're flagging here. There's another Cthulhu-based Mythos one. Maybe you guys can give it to us in our comment, although I guess we could Google and find that out too. So if you want to go into that other game, Choose One?
Choose one. Did you play that game with us? Yeah, you played with us.
Yeah,
Choose One is a good game that is better if you play it with people with your friends, because essentially questions come up and you have to answer them truthfully, and then the people have to kind of guess what you answer, because there's 2 options.
Playing with strangers could be fun too.
There's a card, and it's got a white side and a blue side, and it's like, all right, one of the ones that I put down, it was haunted house or haunted forest, and you basically if it's your turn, you throw down the card and you say, okay, which one do I prefer? Which one would I pick? And it's like, and then everybody makes their vote, and.
Well, the way the voting system happens is one side of those answers is like a dark blue, one side of the answers is a white. So you have 2 cards, a dark blue and a white, and you put down whichever. So it's almost like you're voting on which by putting those cards down.
So
right?
you keep it face down. So like, I would have said, all right, haunted forest. So I put down, the haunted forest. So I put my blue card down, and everybody makes their vote, and they all keep their votes, secret by holding their same card out. And once everyone's voted, whoever's turn it is turns over the card, and everybody does likewise. If everyone guessed the same color, nobody moves up the score tracker. If just one person, voted white and said, "Oh, he likes the haunted house," then everybody who voted blue would move up the score tracker, 1 point. If I said, haunted house or haunted forest, and everybody else voted white, for haunted house, then I would get to move up the score tracker 2 points. Now we played like an 8-player game or a 10-player game. It was pretty big, and you only need to get to 11 points to actually win. And very true to Looney style, everyone's icon is a different color and a different thing in the actual game. So it was.
What did you have, Ted?
I had the little yellow rocket ship. You were the lug nut, right?
I was the lug nut.
And I was like a wine bottle.
Wine bottle, yeah.
But there was a car and a heart and all these different things.
There was a rocket ship.
Well, I was a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And it was really
Yeah, right.
it was really amusing. And that's one of the things that I like about the Looney games is they add just a little bit of fun to it rather than saying, okay, well, we're gonna make 10 different icons all the same and just have them a different color. So it adds a bit more fun to the actual thing, and it actually makes identifying the pieces a lot easier.
Well, and again, with Choose One game, it's a great party game. It's fun to play. Which I know we can turn this one into an adult party game as well.
Right. So next,
you get it wrong, you drink.
Yeah, exactly. The next one I'm going to talk about is Treehouse. Like, that's a pretty cool game where, like, basically there's a setup in the middle with these pyramid pieces. So there's like this black pyramid, and everybody else gets their own color pyramid pieces. So you have a really small piece, you have a medium-sized piece, and you have a larger pyramid. So what it is the concept is you have to mimic the design that's going on in the center of the game. And there's a standard setup where you have the medium-sized piece, the littler piece, and then the larger pyramid. So you're either going to try and mimic that. Your pyramids start out actually stacked one on top of each other. The smallest...
Called a tree.
Right. The smallest fitting inside of the medium, and then the smallest to largest, kind of. So you have one big pyramid, but they're all stacked. So you roll a die, and you have these different maneuvers. Like there's hop, there's aim, and so there's all these different maneuvers you're forming that you can either manipulate the center setup that you're ultimately to win, you're trying to mimic. So you can modify that closer to maybe what you have going on in front of you, or given certain maneuvers, you can modify your own setup. But sometimes, if it's a legal move, then you don't have anything to do. So you may have to again modify the thing in the center.
Yeah. Basically, when you roll the die, if you can do it to your own pyramids, even if it's a disadvantage for you, you have to. If you can't do it to yours, but you can do it to the house, the thing in the center, then you have to. If, by some bizarre circumstance, which happens, you can't do it to yours or the center or the house, you just re-roll the die. And there's only six options, so it's pretty quick to learn. If you haven't played any pyramid games, they're really awesome. I'm a big fan of them. So I highly recommend you checking them out. If you wind up playing the pyramid games and seriously getting into them, you can actually go to Looney's website and submit an application to become what they call a starship captain. If you submit their application and successfully know and play 10 pyramid games, you can get an official Starship Captain identification card, and you submit a picture, and they'll actually send it out to you, I believe, free of charge. And it's just really cool. I've been a pusher of the pyramids for a while, and the more people that get into them, the more pyramid games that they're actually going to be able to put out. So I highly recommend you check them out. They're a set of pyramids that you can play, dozens, if not hundreds of games. There's a huge community that focuses on it, and it's just a lot of fun. And, some of the games, they can be really strategetic and have some serious in-depth, length of game to it, or you can play things like Treehouse or Martian Coasters that are relatively short. And, like I said, they're really awesome.
Well, the cool thing about a game like Treehouse is you can play with any number of people. As many people as you can find. As long as you have the pieces,
right,
you can play. I don't know how many stashes it would take to put together a giant game. But like that's how the set is sold as a stash. And what's a stash come with again?
A basic Treehouse stash or Xeno stash, which is the products that they offer. They come with three pyramids. Again, small, medium, and large, of 5 different colors, and the one die. And so if you've got 5 different colors in Treehouse and 5 different colors in Xeno, that gives you the access to 10 different colors. But for playing a game like Treehouse, you only need those 3 pyramids, and since they're in front of you and not moving, it doesn't matter if 2 people have the same color because you're not manipulating someone else's pyramids. So if you were to say, all right, well, I'm going to buy 5 Treehouse sets, then realistically you could have a game of 25 people, or 24 because you need 1 for the house, just off of those pieces. So I don't recommend a game of 24.
No, I can totally see it. Right? We do the bingo style Treehouse game.
You'd need to have large pyramids as the house so that everybody could see. But totally do it.
So while we're talking pyramids, do we want to talk a little bit about World War V then?
Yeah, World War V.
Yeah, I mean, since we played that game while we were at Looney Labs for the Looney Lounge Day, I think I won the game. The only game of that I played. It might have been the only game I won all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really neat. And the neat thing about the pyramids system or game or whatever you want to call it is they come out with these different boards and tiles that you lay down and it completely changes the game. It gives you the ability to play another game. Well, World War V is a bunch of continents and each player gets to control one. What is it, up to 5?
Yeah, 5 players. So I would really like World War V is like micro Risk. It totally has the mechanics, but without all the game pieces, it takes up a much smaller area and it goes quite a bit quicker actually.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Risk is one of those games. For those of you who haven't played it, it's Risk is the game of world domination. And it can take you hours to play a game, and people will really get out there and play cut through. But with World War V, there's up to 5 people. There's 3 territories for each color to start. So you're looking at 15 possible areas on the board that it's all divided into, and you start off with 3 pieces on the board, and all you need to do is you're not trying to take over the whole thing. You're just trying to take over, 1 new continent. So it's not, all that complicated, but it can be challenging. So it takes a little bit longer than your typical Treehouse or maybe even Martian Coasters, but it can roll pretty quickly. I know World War V was a game they released a few years ago as an actual Christmas giveaway. And that's one of the things that makes Looney Labs actually stand out. If you're a long-standing customer, and you're on their mailing list and whatnot, they typically like to give away something around Christmas time. Now, it might be, here's a digital download for, a new set of rules, or it might be, hey, here, we're going to mail this, to you, and it's just a paper copy of the World War V map. But it was, hey, here's the rules for a new game, scot-free, and boom. Now, as a supporter of it, I went out and actually bought the serious, hard cardboard, map so that I could add it to my my Looney stash. But it was like, hey, this is awesome. And you wind up going through the motions and you roll dice to do combat just like you would do in Risk. But as you're doing this, it has that Risk feel without the complicated setup of Risk, without the vast number of areas to conquer and explore. And like I said, it goes a lot quicker with the same enjoyment feel. What do you guys think?
I liked it. It was fun. And me personally, I got some ADD issues going on probably. And I like the fast-paced games. I'd rather play a bunch of one fast-paced game than the long, drawn-out game.
Well, sometimes the long setup of a given game, if it's more complicated, does take away from the sort of the excitement that you might have right out of the gate. Like, oh, we're going to play this. But then you've just spent about 30 to 40 minutes just laying out the board and the game pieces and stuff like that. Like, Dude, Monopoly, no. I will never ever sit through another game of Monopoly ever again because it's just like it's not. It ends up not being enjoyable toward the end, and really nobody ever finishes a game of Monopoly. Like how many you can count on one hand the number of times you've actually finished a Monopoly game, really.
What Monopoly is one of those games, unless you're actually playing until every single person has been, driven into bankruptcy, which is absolutely ridiculous. Then Monopoly is you play until you feel like stopping, and then you count to see who wins, and it's usually pretty obvious. But
yeah. I remember Ren and Stimpy where they parodied the name of it as Monotony. But yeah, that's my take on it. So leave your hate mail if you're a Monopoly lover in our comment section. But on that note, we should probably start rolling out and say goodbye to our viewers and fans.
Hey,
so,
don't forget to like.
Yeah, if you like this, please do so. Like, comment, and share below.
And feel free to subscribe if you want to hear more about our excursions and whatnot.
Okay, well, we are Nerdarchy, signing out. For nerds, by nerds. Peace.